So I'm making sure I hit record. Hello. We're recording today because there's a lot of people going for a track meet, so we've got to make sure we record this period. Yesterday we ended with Israel Hands and Jim trying to park the boat. They were trying to park the boat, and as they were trying to park it, remember it was, they were swinging the back end, and the back end hits the beach, and the whole boat does this. It cants over at a 45-degree angle. Everybody tumbles down. Even O'Brien, the dead guy. Israel Hands gets caught up with the dead guy as Jim and him land, and he kicks Jim in the face. Jim runs over to the mast and climbs out on this here and is sitting on the main sail. This is an antenna on a cruise ship that crashed in Italy about a year ago. But he's basically sitting out on this, and Israel Hands is standing here looking at him like, "Oh, Jim, you've got me. There's not much I can do. We're going to have to fight, and I don't want to have to kill you because you are a young seaman." And Jim has reloaded his pistols by this time, double barreled, and he says, "Don't move, Israel Hands, or I'll blow your brains out." Seriously, that's what he said.
Oh, I'm what?
And he goes, "Dead men don't bite, you know." And he's laughing, Jim is, and Israel looks at him, and I don't know where Israel takes his sword, and it stabs Jim and pins him up against the wall, up against the mast, as the sail, as he's hanging out over the ocean. And while he's getting stabbed, he goes, fires 2 gunshots on accident, and then drops his 2 guns. Looks at Israel Hands, and Israel goes, sploosh. And Israel Hands falls into the ocean.
Because he was shot, or he just fell off the boat?
Double barrels took him out. So, Jim, that's what you were supposed to have read yesterday. Jim has parked the boat and killed his first man in his life. Israel Hands is gone. All right? Jim is wounded. He got stabbed. Would you shut up, please? All right. So you should have the boat parked here. The Hispaniola is parked somewhere on the north side. Yes.
So there's no one else who's gonna die yet because they're even in their six.
Let's not try and predict who's going to live and who's going to die yet.
They're all gonna die. Don't break some
They're like tied. 6 and 6.
I don't think I predicted that there would be 6 on 6. But, okay, Jim comes on page 114, chapter 27 and 28 is what we're doing today. And he says, owing to the cant of the vessel, the fact that it's on its side, just like the picture you saw, the masts hung far out over the water. And from my perch on the cross trees, I had nothing below me but the surface of the bay. Hands, who was not so far up, was in consequence nearer to the ship and fell between me and the bulwarks. He rose once to the surface in a lather of foam and blood, and then sank again for good. As the water settled, I could see him lying huddled together on the clean, bright sand in the shadow of the vessel's sides. There's his body laying underwater next to the boat. A fish or two whipped past his body. Sometimes, by the quivering of the water, he appeared to move a little, as if he were trying to rise. But he was dead enough for all that, being both shot and drowned, and was food for fish in the very place where he had designed my slaughter. One of the best I just killed a guy paragraphs ever written. I was no sooner certain of this than I began to feel sick, faint, and terrified. I just killed a guy. Oh my gosh, I almost died. The hot blood was running over my back and chest. Oh, I've just been stabbed. The dirk where he had pinned my shoulder to the mast seemed to burn like a hot iron. Yet it was not so much these real sufferings that distressed me, for these it seemed to me I could bear without a murmur. It was the horror I had upon my mind of falling from the cross trees into that still green water beside the body of the coxswain. I just killed the guy, and I'm about to fall off and land right next to the guy I killed. I clung with both hands with my nail till my nails ached, and I shut my eyes as if to cover up the peril. What do I do? Gradually, my mind came back again. My pulses quieted down to a more natural time, and I was once more in possession of myself. It was my first thought to pluck forth the dirk, but either it stuck too hard or my nerve failed me, and I desisted with a violent shudder. I got a knife through my shoulder. Oddly enough, that very shudder did the business. The knife, in fact, had come the nearest in the world to missing me altogether. It held me by a mere pinch of skin, and the shudder tore it away. I'm such a wuss. All it did was barely get any of my skin. It had slid right underneath the top of his shoulder. And by going, he actually ripped it away. Kind of gross. The blood ran down the faster, to be sure. But I was my own master again, and only tacked to the mast by my coat and shirt. The coat was still pinned there, but my shoulder was no longer held there by the dirk. Who would have thought the dirks that you purchased would end up stabbing you in the shoulder? These last I broke through with a sudden jerk, and then regained the deck by the starboard shrouds. For nothing in the world I would have again ventured, shaken as I was, upon the overhanging port shrouds from which Israel had so lately fallen. I did not want to have to fall the way that Israel Haynes did. I went below and did what I could for my wound. It pained me a good deal and still bled freely, but it was neither deep nor dangerous, nor did it greatly gall me when I used my arm. I was like, it doesn't hurt that bad. I looked around me, and as the ship now was in a sense my own, I began to think of clearing it from its last passenger, the dead man, O'Brien. He had pitched, as I have said, against the bulwarks, where he lay like some horrible, ungainly sort of puppet, life-size indeed, but how different from life's color or life's comeliness. In that position I could easily have my way with him, and as the habit of tragical adventures had worn off almost all my terror for the dead, I took him by the waist as if he had been a sack of bran, and with one good heave tumbled him overboard. Has Jim changed even more?
Yeah.
He's like, I just killed a guy, and he's like, you know what? Dead guys aren't all that weird. Hey, O'Brien. Swoosh. It's my ship. I'm the captain. We're going to skip forward here to the fact that he decides he needs to run to back to where? He's got to get back to the stockade. He's been gone for almost 24 hours. Everybody's probably freaking out about the ship. Everybody's probably freaking out that he left, maybe even angry. I've got to get back. So we're going to, he runs, we're going to just draw on our map to keep track of where he is. He got off the boat, and yes, sir.
Is the boat back up right now?
No, the boat is still on its side. But it's not sunk, it's just on its side on the beach. I'll tell you where we're going in a second. So but what you need to know is he runs by Ben Gunn's cave, and it's like, oh, that's where Ben Gunn was, so at least I know where I am. Then he's like, okay, I can track my steps back. And it was, remember, we waited for high tide, which was later in the day yesterday, or earlier in the day in the book, but yesterday the high tide was up. And so that means it was late in the day, so it's starting to get dark as he's running. And he's afraid he's going to lose his way on the way back to the stockade.
Wait, so he goes to the stockade?
He's trying to get to the stockade, but before he gets there, it gets dark. Before he gets to the last spot, so it takes him a lot longer than he wanted it to. He does get to the stockade eventually. And so go ahead and you've got ... to the stockade, but by the time he finally gets to a spot where he knows exactly where it would be, he's got to feel around and try and find it. And we are now on page 117. Those of you who have a black book, it's okay. You just read along with me, and then you'll be able to jump in chapter 28. Page 117, about 3/4 of the way down, or halfway down, it says, the moon was climbing higher and higher. Its light began to fall here and there in the masses through the more open districts of the wood. and right in front of me a glow of a different color appeared among the trees. It was red and hot, and now and again it was a little darkened, as if it were the embers of a bonfire smoldering. That's good news. He's getting close. For the life of me, I could not think what it might be. At last I came right down upon the border of the clearing. The western end was already steeped in moonshine. The rest, and the blockhouse itself, still lay in shadow, checkered with long, silvery streaks of light. On the other side of the house, an immense fire had burned itself into clear embers, and shed a steady red reverberation, contrasted strongly with the mellow paleness of the moon. Lots of words to say. I see a fire. There was not a soul stirring, nor a sound beside the noises of the breeze. It's the moon's out. There's moonlight shining in. It's the stockade. There's the fire that the guys would have had. It's like, okay, everything seems good. I stopped with much wonder in my heart, and perhaps a little terror also. It had not been our way to build great fires. We were indeed, by the captain's orders, somewhat niggardly of firewood, and I began to fear that something had gone wrong while I was absent. I stole round by the eastern end, keeping close in shadow, and at a convenient place where the darkness was thickest, I crossed the palisade. He jumped over the fence. To make assurance surer, I got upon my hands and knees and crawled without a sound toward the corner of the house. As I drew nearer, my heart was suddenly and greatly lightened. It is not a pleasant noise in itself, and I've often complained of it at other times, but just then, it was like music to my ears, to hear my friends snoring together so loud and peaceful in their sleep. Walking up, they... the sea cry of the watch. That's beautiful. All's well. Never felt more reassuringly on my ear. I never loved the sound of people snoring more in my life. In the meantime, there was no doubt of one thing. They kept an infamous bad watch. If it had been Silver and his lads that were now creeping in on them, not a soul would have seen daybreak. That was what it was, thought I, to have the captain wounded, and again I blamed myself sharply for leaving them in that danger, with so few to mount guard. They're so tired and exhausted and hurt, they haven't even been able to do a good job of guarding the stockade. By this time I had gone to the door and stood up. All was dark within, so that I could distinguish nothing by the eye. As for sounds, there was the steady drone of the snores, and a small occasional noise of flickering or a pecking. I could no way to account for it. With my arms before me, I walked steadily in. I should lie down in my own place, I thought with a silent chuckle, and enjoy their faces when they found me in the morning. Oh, Jim, Jim, how'd you get in here? My foot struck something, yielding. Oh, it was the sleeper's leg, and he turned and groaned, but without awakening. And then all of a sudden a shrill voice broke out of the darkness. Pieces of eight! 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 And so forth, without pause or change, like the clacking of a tiny mill. Silver's green parrot. Captain Flint. It was she whom I had heard pecking at a piece of bark. It was she keeping better watch than any human being, who thus announced my arrival with her wearisome refrain. I had no time left to me for the recovery. At the sharp, clipping tone of the parrot, the sleepers awoke and sprang up, and with a mighty oath, the voice of Silver cried, "Who goes?" I turned to run, but struck violently against one person, recoiled, and ran into full arms of the second, who, for his part, closed upon me and held me tight. "Bring a torch, Dick," said Silver, when the capture was thus assured. And one of the men left the log house and presently returned with a lighted brand. Who's in the stockade?
Silver.
Oh, John Silver.
How do we get in here, boy?
The red glare of the torch lighting up the interior of the blockhouse showed me the worst of my apprehensions realized. The pirates were in possession of the house and stores. There was the cask of cognac. There were the pork and bread as before. And what tenfold increased my horror, not a sign of any prisoner. I could only judge that all had perished, and my heart smote me sorely that I had not been there to perish with them. What does he think happened? What has he figured out has happened? They're all gone. What's that? Thought somebody said something else.
Oh,
That didn't sound like they died.
Oh, I know where they went.
Oh, that's
Oh,
went to the
Wait,
cave.
you told us that the doctor went to the cave.
The doctor went to go see Ben Gunn.
Haha!
Huh. But how did these guys get here?
You come to that run.
He could have came back and told him the place.
Hmm. Yeah?
Or they all could have went to Ben Gunn and then they just snuck up in there.
Or maybe they left
They
for
had a
Ben
little
Gunn.
fight at a great
And, oh, maybe there was a fight. Okay. Let's see what happened. There were 6 of the Buccaneers all told. Not another man was left alive. How many Buccaneers do we say there are? How many are on our list alive? Have we kept good count?
I have 4.
We should have 1, 2, 3, 4,
I only have
5.
I only have 5.
I only have 4.
I only have 5.
1, 2,
I have
3.
five.
I have 5. I have 4.
Oh wait, maybe
Five.
they didn't know that Israel
I
was
have
dead.
5.
Oh, they didn't know Israel was.
Yeah, I have 5.
I have 5.
And they also didn't know that the one O'Brien guy was dead too.
No, I think we knocked somebody off who we shouldn't have. I think we killed number 12 off too soon. Number 12, we killed him off too soon.
Can we just erase them?
Somebody just wake him back up.
Wake
We
up
must have
from
killed
the
the same.
dead.
We must have killed the same guy
But he has
twice.
a heart though.
So that's the guy that's injured on the floor.
Okay.
We killed him too soon. Well, not too soon.
I have 5.
We just killed the same guy twice.
So number 12.
So we should have pirate.
Here.
You should have pirate number 12 injured. So anybody playing along at home, you need to make sure somebody who was injured is still alive. All right?
What about Great City?
He's dead.
The parrot sat pluming. Oh wait. 5 of them were on their feet, flushed and swollen, suddenly called out of the first sleep of drunkenness. The 6th had only risen upon his elbow. He was deadly pale, and the blood-stained bandage around his head told that he had recently been wounded, and still more recently dressed. I remembered the man who had been shot and had run back among the woods in the great attack, and doubted not that this was he. There was the one guy who got injured in the stockade attack. The parrot sat preening her plumage on Long John's shoulder. He himself, I thought, looked somewhat paler and more stern than I was used to. He still wore the fine broadcloth suit in which he had fulfilled his mission, but it was bitterly the worse for wear, daubed with clay, and torn with short briars in the wood. Long John Silver doesn't look as nice as he did the day before the battle, the day of the battle. Remember, he showed up, and all of his nice clothes are all messed up and muddy and shredded now. It's been an interesting 36 hours.
So, as Jim Hawkins shiver my timbers dropped in like, eh? Well, come, I take the friendly.
And thereupon he sat down across the brandy cask and began to fill a pipe.
Give me another thing, Dick.
I mean, hey, give me the, we got this one, Ember, you ever do fireworks? And you've got that one punk that you light everything with? That's what the link is. I can light my pipe with that.
All right, I'll do that.
You had it?
Stick the gleam in the wood heap, and you, gentlemen, bring yourselves to. You needn't stand up for Mr. Hawkins. He'll excuse you, you may later that.
And so, Jim, it's like everybody sit down. Let's figure out why Jim's in our stockade.
Here you were. Quite a pleasant surprise for poor old John. I see you were smart when I first set eyes on you, but this here gets away from me clean, it do.
Say, hey, you're as smart as paint. And we're still like, wait, I thought you were calling me dumb. What were you calling me smart? Still never know where we stand with Long John Silver. To all this, as may be well supposed, I made no answer. They had set me with my back up against the wall, and I stood there, looking Silver in the face, pluckily enough, I hope, to all outward appearance, but with black despair in my heart. You ever give your parents a look of, yeah, whatever, but inside you're like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. Or somebody. No, you always give the look of I don't care to your mom, right? Is that it? She says so. I was just kidding, Melissa. Okay.
Now you see, Jim, so be as you are here, I'll give you a piece of my mind. I've always liked you. I have. But a lot of spirit. and a picture of my own self when I was young and handsome. I always wanted you to join and take your share, and die a gentleman. And now my cook, you got to. Captain Smart's a fine seaman as I'll own up to any day, but he's too stiff on discipline. He's too mean. He just tries to follow all the rules. Duty is duty, says he. And right he is. Just you keep clear of the captain. Doctor himself has gone dead against you. Ungrateful scamp was what he said. And the short and the long of the whole story is about here. You can't go back to your own lot, but they won't have you. And without you start a third ship's company all by yourself, which might be lonely, you'll have to join with Captain Silver. What did we learn just from that paragraph?
Join him!
You gotta join us. What else?
That's right, Jordan.
Doctor's not dead. What did
You
he say,
don't like,
Sid?
they don't
The doctor was like, the doctor was saying he was like a bad kid.
Yeah, he's an ungrateful scamp is what he said.
The doctor
But wait,
did.
the doctor did. It's like, what? The doctor's, you mean he's not, and you talked to, what? So far so good, he says. My friends then were still alive. And though I partly believed the truth of Silver's statement of maybe he did say ungrateful scamp, that the cabin party were incensed at me for my desertion, I was more relieved than distressed by what I heard. I don't care. They could hate me as much as they want to. I'm just glad they're still alive. Do you think Long John's telling the truth about Dr. Livesey?
No. Because he's deserted us before.
And then came back?
Mm-hmm.
So, still got to keep a weary eye on old Long John. I don't say nothing to you as to your being in our hands. No, there you are, you may lay to it. I'm all for argument. I never seen good come out of threatening. If you like the service, well, you join. If you don't join, why, you're free to answer now. Free and welcome, shipmate. And if fair can be said by mortal seamen, shiver my sides. It's like, hey, we don't like to threaten anybody. We don't want you to feel threatened. If you want to join us, why don't you join us? You can say no. Don't worry, you can say no. What did Jim notice the last time somebody said no to Long John Silver?
Woo!
Right.
Monkey.
Spider.
So Jim looks at him, still trying to look tough up against the wall. Am I to answer then? I asked with a very tremulous voice. Though all this sneering talk, I was made to feel the threat of death that overhung me, and my cheeks burned and my heart beat painfully in my breast. But no one's oppressing ya. Take your bearings. None of us won't hurry you, mate. Time goes so pleasant in your company, you see. He said, oh, take your time. Don't worry about it. Let's make your decision. What do you want to do? Well, says I, growing a bit bolder, if I'm to choose, I declare I have a right to know what's what, and why you're here, and where my friends are. It's like, before I answer, I want to know, how the heck did you get the stockade? What's what? Repeated one of the buccaneers in a deep growl. Aye, the lucky one has known that. You'll perhaps batten down your hatches till you spoke, my friend, said Silver truculently to his speaker. And then in his first gracious tones, he replied to me. So he was like, hey, shut up over there. I'll answer the boy. You don't talk unless I tell you to talk. Yesterday, Mr. Hawkins, said he, in the dog watch, came down Dr. Livesey with a flag of truce. Dr. Livesey came with a flag of truce? Says he, Captain Silver, you're sold out. Ship's gone. Well, maybe we had been taking a glass and a song to help it round. I won't say no. Leastways, none of us had looked out. Looked out to what?
The ship.
Yeah, you hadn't looked out and to see if the ship was still there. Was it still there yesterday? No. We looked out and by thunder, the old ship was gone. I never seen a pack of fools look fishier. And you may later that if I tells you that looked the fishiest. Well, says the doctor, that's bargain. We bargained, him and I, and here we are. Stores, brandy, the bloghouse, firewood he was thoughtful enough to cut, in a manner of speaking, the whole blessed boat, from Cross Trees to Kelson.
As for them, they've tramped. I don't know where they are.
We bargained, and this is what I got out of the bargain. The blockhouse, all the firewood, everything. And they just left, buddy. They're gone. He drew again at his pipe.
Unless you should take it in that head of yours that you was included in the treaty, here's the last word that was said. How many are you? Says I, to leave. 4, says he. 4. And one of us wounded. As for that boy, I don't know where he is, confound him, says he. No, I don't much care. We're about sick of him. These were his words.
Melissa,
Yeah, what's this one? Just one person was like,
that was the captain was wounded, right?
yeah, I am the doctor.
Well, he wasn't hurt as bad. He got slashed, but it wasn't as bad of a wound. So, is Jim included?
No.
No. Is that all? I asked.
Well, it's all you're to hear, my son.
Returned Silver. And now, am I to choose?
And now you want to choose, and you may lay to that.
Well, I'm not such a fool, but I know pretty well what I have to look for. Let the worst come to worst, it's little I care. I've seen too many die since I fell in with you, but there's a thing or two I have to tell you, I said. And by this time, I was quite excited. And the first is this. Here you are in a bad way. Ship lost, treasure lost, men lost, your business gone to wreck. And if you want to know who did it, it was I. I was the one in the apple barrel the night we sighted land. And I heard you, John, and you, Dick Johnson, and Hans, who's now at the bottom of the sea, and told every word you said before the hour was out. And as for the schooner, it was I who cut her cable. And it was I that killed the men you had aboard of her. And it was I who brought her where you'll never see her more, not one of you. The laugh's on my side. I've had the top of this business from the first. I no more fear you than I fear a fly. Kill me if you please, or spare me. But one thing I'll say, and no more. If you spare me, bygones are bygones. And when you fellows are in court for piracy, I'll save you all I can. It is for you to choose. Kill another and do yourselves no good, or spare me and keep a witness to save you from the gallows. Jim just dropped the bomb. Hey, guess what? You don't know why you guys are all dead and you don't have a treasure and you don't have a boat? That was me. Kill me. Go ahead. And guess what? I'm your only hope. I'll do everything I can to help you out. You don't think I'm smart? I know what I'm doing. I'll save you guys from swinging on your neck if you don't kill me. But if you kill me, I know I'm in good spirits. It's your choice, not mine. Isn't that what Mom and Dad always do? Well, you have a choice. You can go here or you can go here. You pick one. No, I want to do this. No, you have to pick. It's good parenting. Jim's parenting right now. I stopped, for I tell you, I was out of breath. And to my wonder, not a man of them moved, but all sat staring at me like as many sheep. And while they were still staring, I broke again. And now, Mr. Silver, I believe you're the best man here, and if things go the worst, I'll take it kind of you to let the doctor know the way I took it. It's like, hey, you're a good man, right, Long John? You go ahead and let him know that I stood up to you, showed that I flushed your entire plan down the toilet, and spit in your face right before you killed me. Would you please tell everybody that?
I'll bear it in mind,
said Silver with an accent so curious that I could not, for the life of me, decide whether he were laughing at my request or had been favorably affected by my courage.
I'll put one to that,
cried the mahogany-faced seaman, Morgan by name, who I had seen in Long John's public house upon the quays of Bristol.
It was him that knowed Black Dog. Well, see here, added the sea cook. I'll put another again to that, by thunder, for it was this same boy that faked the chart for Billy Bones, first and last. We've split upon Jim Hawkins.
By the way, we have pirate number 7. The whole time, the same guy who was talking about keel hauling, his name's Morgan. He's name's Morgan. So, those of you playing along at home, if you were Israel Hands, you are now Morgan for this chapter.
Mr. Peterman, I'm sorry to interrupt. Is Dave Graham in class?
Yes, he is.
Okay, he needs to come to the office for a minute. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've split upon Jim Hawkins. Well, here it goes,
Says Morgan with an oath, and he sprang up drawing a knife as if he had been 20. It's time to kill Jim Hawkins.
Oh, that's there. Who are you, Tom Morgan? If you thought you was captain here, perhaps bite our powers, but I'll teach you better. Cross me and you'll go where many a good man's gone before you. First and last, he's 30 your back. Some to the yardarm, shivering my sides, and some by the board, and all to feed the fishes. There's never a man look me between the eyes and see a good day afterwards, Tom Morgan. You may lay to that. You back off or I'm going to kill you.
Morgan paused, but a hoarse murmur rose from the others. The others are like, what do you mean? We're just
Tom's right,
said one.
I stood hazing long enough for him one.
Added another.
I'll be hanged if I be hazed by you, John Silver. Did any of you gentlemen want to have it out with me?
Roared Silver, bending far forward from his position on the keg, with his pipe still glowing in his right hand.
Put a name on what you're at. You ain't dumb, I reckon. Him that wants shall get it. Have I lived this many years and a son of a rum-punching cock has had athwart my house as the latter end of it?
He's just rambling now, ticked off.
You know the way. You're all gentlemen of fortune by your account. Well, I'm ready. Take a cutlass that dares, and I'll see the colour of the inside crutch and all before the pipe's empty.
You know the way to do this. If you're going to do it the wrong way, I'll cut you up. But you're all gentlemen of fortune, which means pirates. You know how to do things. How do they do things?
Backstab.
One way. What's the other way? We'll think about that. Not a man stirred, not a man answered.
That's your sword, is it?
Returning his pipe to his mouth.
Well, you're a gay lot to look at anyway. Not much worth to fight, you ain't. Perhaps you can understand King George's English. I'm captain here by election. I'm captain here because I'm the best man by a long sea mile. You won't fight as gentlemen of fortune should, then by thunder, you'll obey, and you may lay to it. I like that boy now. I never seen a better boy than that. He's more a man than any a pair of rats of you in this here house. What I say is this, let me see him that'll lay a hand on him. That's what I say, and you may lay to it.
Who's defending Jim now?
Silver.
Long John Silver's like,
Don't you touch him.
why in the... There was a long pause after this. I stood straight up against the wall, my heart still going like a sledgehammer, but with a ray of hope now shining in my bosom. Silver leaned back against the wall, his arms crossed, his pipe in the corner of his mouth, as calm as though he had been in church. Yet his eye kept wandering furtively, and then he kept the tail of it on his unruly followers. They, on their part, drew gradually together towards the far end of the blockhouse. So here's Jim, just like, okay, I'm waiting to die. And here's Long John Silver on one leg. And then the rest of the guys over here talking. What are they talking about? They, on their part, drew gradually together towards the far end of the blockhouse, and the low hiss of their whispering sounded in my ear continuously like a stream. One after another, they would look up, and the red light of the torch would fall for a second on their nervous faces. But it was not towards me, it was towards Silver that they turned their eyes.
You seem to have a lot to say,
Remarked Silver, spitting far into the air.
Pipe up, let me hear it, lay to.
Hey, what are you guys talking about?
Ask your pardon, sir.
Returned one of the men.
You're pretty free with some of the rules. Maybe you'll kindly keep an eye upon the rest. This crew's dissatisfied. This crew don't value bullying or marlin's pipe. This crew has its rights like other crews. I'll make so free as that. And by your own rules, I take it we can talk together. I ask your pardon, sir, acknowledging you to be captain at this present, but I claim my right and stepped outside for counsel.
Say, hey, you're the captain, but you know what? As a crew, we're going to go have a meeting. and with an elaborate sea salute, this fellow, a long, ill-looking, yellow-eyed man of 5 and 30, stepped coolly toward the door and disappeared out of the house. One after another, the rest of them, following his example, each made a salute as he passed, each adding some apology. "According to the rules," said one. "Like as the council," said Morgan. And so with one remark or another, all marched out and left Silver and me alone with the torch. What are they going to do? They're all going outside to have a council, which is
Meeting.
a mutiny. But what do they do when they want to?
They said meeting.
Oh, meeting. Have a meeting.
They're gonna have a mutiny.
Yeah, it's not. It's kind of like that. That's why I thought he said it. What did they do to Billy Bones?
Black spot.
Ah.
For council.
They were going to have a meeting with Billy Bones. They didn't give him a poison. So, the sea cook watched everybody walk out of the house. And as soon as they walked out, the sea cook instantly removed his pipe.
Now you look here, Jim Hawkins, he said in a steady whisper that was no more than audible. You're within half a plank of death, and what's a long sight worse of torture. They're going to throw me off, but you, Mark, I stand by you through thick and thin. I didn't mean to, no, not till you spoke up. I was about desperate to lose that much blood and be hanged into the bargain. But I see you was the right sort. I says to myself, you stand by Hawkins, John, and Hawkins will stand by you. You're his last card by living thunder, John, he's yours. Back to back, says I. You save your witness, and he'll save your neck.
I began dimly to understand. Is Long John seriously trying to work with Jim?
You mean all's lost? I asked. I have my gun. I do. Ship's gone. Neck's gone. That's the size of it. Once I looked into that bay, Jim Hawkins had seen no schooner. Well, I'm tough, but I gave out. As for that lot and their counsel, mark me, they're outright fools and cowards. I'll save your life, so be as I can from them. But see here, Jim, tit for tat. You saved Long John from swinging. He's like, those guys are a bunch of morons. I can manage them. But what I need help with is you keeping me from getting hung. All right? They're going to try and get rid of me as captain. But don't worry about that. I was bewildered. It seemed a thing so hopeless he was asking. He, the old buccaneer, the ringleader throughout, the ringleader of everything, is asking me for his help. What I can do, that I'll do, I said. It's a bargain, cried Long John. You speak up, Rocky, and by thunder, I'll have a chance. You keep acting the way you do, and that's going to help me. He hobbled to the torch where it stood, propped among the firewood, and he took a fresh light to his pipe. Understand me, Jim. I've a head on my shoulders, I have. I'm on Squire's side now. I know you've got that ship safe somewheres. How you done it, I don't know, but safe it is. I guess Hans and O'Brien turned soft. I never much believed in neither of them. Now you mark me, I ask no questions, nor I won't let others. I know when a game's up, I do, and I know a lad that's staunch. Oh, that's young, you and me. You that's young, you and me might have done a power of good together. It's like, I don't know how you got that ship, but you know what? Oh, sorry, I don't know how long that's been up there.
It just got up there.
Long John Silver says he's on their side?
Can you cross them off? Or-
Sure.
Is Captain Flint still evil? Does he join the evil side?
So
He's
it's, so it's 7, so it's like 7-5.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that it?
Yeah.
7 to 5?
Yeah.
Sure, if you count Ben Gunn. Everybody seems really confident. He drew some cognac from the cask into a tin cannikin. He's like, hey, he's gonna have a drink. Hey, your taste, best mate? You want a drink? And when I refused, he said, well, I'll take a drain myself. Jim, I need a corker, but there's trouble on hand. And talking of trouble, why'd the doctor give me the chart, Jim?
Bum bum. What? Let me read that again. Why did the doctor give me the chart, Jim? My face expressed a wonder so unaffected that he saw the needlessness of the questions out. You have no idea. Okay. What did he do? What does he have? The chart, which is the map. He's got it. Oh, well, he did though. There's something under that, no doubt. Something surely under that, Jim, bad or good. And he took another swallow of the brandy, shaking his great fair head like a man who looks forward to the worst. Something is up. So, let's take a look here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Many of you put Long John over here, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your tweets. Many of you still haven't seen your character in a while. You're supposed to have been guessing. How many of you were close with some of your guesses?
I was there, so.
You were there, so you know what to tweet from yesterday, from the last 2 chapters.
I already did yesterday.
That's okay. So what should we be tweeting for today?
Should I put non-evil?
Well, who are you?
I'm Silver.
You're Long John Silver, so yours is...
Not evil, not evil,
You think
not
you,
evil.
I don't want to be evil anymore, okay? Yes? You're the parrot, so what are you saying?
Pieces of 8.
Definitely pieces of 8 for the chapter 27. What do you think your guy's going to say as a crewman?
The one person has the chart.
Yeah, hey, we have the chart. Let's go find it. But what's the Long John Silver's crew thinking right now?
Mutiny.
They want to get rid of him, right? They're mad at him. He's yelling at them. What do you think the reasons are why they want to get rid of him? That's what I want to see tweets for the guys on this side.
So you just say like that he's bad or something?
Yeah, well, what do you think he's done wrong? What has Long John Silver done wrong?
He stood up for him.
He stood up for Jim. What else is wrong?
He killed one of the people.
Okay, well, he was the guy who wouldn't join. I'm not sure if that would be why they wouldn't. What else? Yeah, he's bossing us around. What else? What's another thing that Long John did poorly? Why the guys don't like him?
That all he wants the ship and the ship got
Yeah, he lost the ship. All right? So those are things you should be tweeting. But what about the captain's crew? Oh, what do you got?
For Dr. Lindsay, would I guess like why he gave him the chart?
Yeah, you guess, why did he give him the chart? So for Dr. Livesey's group and Captain Smollett, what are the things they might be saying? Because they're no longer in the stockade. Yeah?
We need to find a new camp.
We need to find a new camp, all right? Why would they leave the stockade? Do we have any reasons why they'd leave it? Yeah.
Maybe like Ben Gunn or someone had a plan.
Okay, maybe Ben Gunn had a plan. You could throw something out like that. Why else would they leave?
Maybe go find Jim.
Oh, maybe they're out looking for Jim. Great.
Because the pirates knew where they were, so
It's like now they don't know where we're at. If we could let them stay there, we have the upper hand, so they don't know. Good. What else?
what if Ben Gunn is really actually?
What if Ben Gunn has done something
Yeah,
with them? I like it.
maybe that's like his cave and then the bikers there.
Okay, so maybe they tramped up to his cave and are just hiding out. All right, because Ben Gunn, nobody knows Ben Gunn's there except for the good guys. So those are the types of things you need to be tweeting. Of course, Long John should be thinking about, I'm trying to live, trying to survive. Jim should be like, am I going to die tonight? But it's about what the other characters, those are the more interesting ones, the ones I'm more interested in finding, all right? Your soundtrack of your life, go ahead and get that bubble map out. That's where I want to do this spot check. I said I'd do it yesterday. I want to check that out. Have a great day.